big night in the Big Ten as we continue our doubleheader on BTN with a top 25 showdown. Tonight on the shores of Lake Michigan, it's number 20 Penn State and number 21 Northwestern. Thanks for joining us with Jackie Manny, Mike Monaco, and what a matchup early on in the conference season between a couple of teams that 10 months ago met in the Big Ten tournament final in a wild game. But let's talk this year. What should we expect, Jackie?
You know, I'm excited for this matchup. I think we have some great soccer minds between these two coaching staffs, so it'll be a lot of fun to see what happens on the field tonight.
Both teams have a lot of returning firepower from last year's squads, so let's zero in on a matchup in the midfield. Emily Ogle, Marissa Vigiano, both all-conference first-team midfielders.
And that's where this game is going to be won, is in that midfield battle. Penn State likes to have the ball. They like to possess, and Emily Ogle will quarterback that, but she'll also be the driving force in their defensive high press as well. On the flip side, Northwestern will have to be patient when they have the ball and try to break that first line of pressure. They'll have to be good on set pieces, and Marissa Vigiano will be key to that for Northwestern. And as we mentioned, Penn State is known for that high press, relentless system. They're so fast to transition and collapse on the ball. They stay compact, they press together, and create a ton of turnovers, which ultimately results in a decent amount of offensive opportunities as well. They're just very good at making their opponents extremely uncomfortable when they have the ball.
So we're ready to roll tonight in week 2 of the conference season. Penn State and Northwestern.
Wireless for $15 a month. That's not right.
It's right, all right. Now carpet showers?
That's not right.
Kind of like your phone bill. Get Mint Mobile for just $15 a month. It's right, all right.
To the starting lineups back here in Evanston. For Penn State, a strong back line in front of Amanda Dennis. Kaylee Reel, the headliner in the back. Emily Ogle, an excellent holding midfielder. And for Northwestern, they will shape-shift a little bit. They've got all sorts of different formations. They've had some injury concerns recently as well. The freshman Wood in net. They'll go 3 in the back tonight against this up-tempo Penn State team. Number 20 and number 21 in the country. Penn State in the road blue. Northwestern in the home white to get things started on the shores of Lake Michigan. You see the records on both sides. Penn State, the number 20 team in the country, 5-3, 1-0 so far in the Big Ten. They beat Ohio State 4-0 on Friday to follow up a challenging non-conference portion of the schedule. And for Northwestern, 6-1-2, the great unbeaten streak to start the year, but perhaps a little bit of an underwhelming first weekend in conference play.
They did. I think just an unexpected couple of results for them, especially in that opening weekend. You put a ton of hype into it. But as you mentioned, Penn State had that big win over Ohio State, and I think that was huge for them, especially coming off of a really tough non-conference schedule. I think just in terms of mentality and knowing that whole process was really worth it. And that first game was a big win for them.
Foul is on Northwestern. Talented backline that we told you. They'll be under duress from Frankie Taliaferri, the sophomore from New Jersey, from Penn State. Michael Moynihan on the left side of the bench is in his 7th season at the helm in Evanston, a Milwaukee native who walked on at Wisconsin in the Big Ten, immediately made his mark there, ended up a 2-year captain for the Badgers. First set piece of the night, off the volley, deflected out of the box. And there's the first look at Mackenzie Wood, the freshman from Granger, Indiana. All she had to do was replace Lauren Clem as we get a look at Erica Dombach, season number 12 in State College. Of course, the national title a few years ago, another College Cup trip as well back in 2012. And it goes the way of Penn State. So, Jackie, we'll get into this as the night goes along, but a couple meetings between these teams last year, most notably that wild day for the Big Ten tournament final. What's different about these teams heading into the early portion of the conference play season?
You know, like you said, I think it's early. Both these teams are still trying to figure out exactly who they are.
Here's Carrie Abello, talented left-wing player for Penn State, pulls it back out.
I think we'll see just what we saw. They'll attack quickly in terms of Penn State's offense up that side flank. They'll get numbers in the wide spaces, get numbers in the box, and look to just go at you and at you and at you all game. But that absolutely bodes well for a team like Northwestern, who's so stingy defensively. They're known for their back two, especially in those center back positions. Davison and Sharples have played a ton of minutes together, and it looks like Mackenzie Wood just hasn't really skipped a beat stepping in between the posts as well.
And a little bit of a shakeup in front of Wood that we alluded to. No Nakia Smith today, the fifth-year senior from Bolingbrook, Illinois. Typically plays that right back spot. She got banged up on Sunday against Minnesota. Did come back into that game in the second half, but unable to go tonight. Out of the midfield, a long drive at Wood. Got a piece of it, and it pops up over. Emily Ogle with an excellent strike.
She's just so fun to watch on the ball. She sees an opportunity, gets her head up, decides to go for an early strike. It's early in the game. Why not take advantage of an opportunity and try and surprise Mackenzie Wood? But Mackenzie Wood does well to get under that ball and get it out of harm's way.
The fifth-year stud holding midfielder. She's on the Herman Trophy watch list. Was looking for her fourth goal of the season. Plays it short, right at the edge of the 6. Kaylee Stahlschmidt, 9 in the white, gets the start today. Her third of the season, with the shakeups coming for Northwestern. Jules Thrawn, a talented freshman who starts typically at the left back spot in that 4 on the back look for Northwestern. Good tackle out of the midfield for Northwestern. Taken away by Reagan Steidletter, the sophomore out of Iowa City. She might have to be a little bit more defensively inclined tonight with the new look. And the 3-5-2 for Northwestern. Here is Talia Ferry. No one home in the box, and Kayla Sharples steps forward.
This is where you'll see Penn State's high press system. They like to converge around the ball. As soon as they lose that, you see numbers collapse, and they just make it so hard for Northwestern or any opponent to get out of the ball, out of their box.
Well, our State Farm State of Success centers around Mackenzie Wood, the freshman who, like we said, replaced Lauren Clem. All she did at one point was get 6 straight shutouts, set the school record for a scoreless streak, nearly 670 minutes, the top one in program history. Marissa Vigiano, we spotlighted her at the top. She's working with Nia Harris, who's been banged up as well. There's Vigiano, 14, matched up with Ogle, and cleared away.
We talked about in the beginning, but Northwestern really just has to stay composed when they do get the ball. They have to be able to break that first line of pressure so that numbers can get forward. If they really want to find some different offensive opportunities, they have to stay patient and calm, and that's where Vigiano is going to play a big role in terms of getting the offense going for Northwestern.
She's the one you look to, right, to try to break things down on Penn State's defense?
She's so confident with herself on the ball. She likes when she's on the ball. She likes to go at people and break lines. So the more that we can see her on the ball for Northwestern, the more they're going to be dangerous in their attack.
Long service heads all the way down to Amanda Dennis, the junior goalkeeper from San Diego, back into the starting role this season. And, you know, we've talked about Northwestern and their defensive pedigree. You expect that with Michael Moynihan and his staff. They've got to find some goal scoring. Good searching ball played through. But the whistle gives it to the Wildcats.
You do, and it's interesting right now because if you watch Northwestern's back line, you just saw Michelle Chernesky on the bottom of that screen. You see that it's a 3-back right here, but Chernesky doing a ton of work right now. She comes into that defensive holding mid spot, and as soon as they break into their defense, she's coming out to that left back spot. So it looks like a 3-back, but that Chernesky player, number 7 right there, is doing a ton of work to cover ground in the midfield and then getting out to this left back spot to make it more of a 4-back when they are defensively shaped.
So all that means she's going to be busy tonight.
She's busy. She's doing a lot of work already.
Well, here she is on the left side. Again, that's typically the spot of Jules Thrawn, the freshman from Caldwell, New Jersey, who swings all the way over to the right side.
We talked about Penn State's higher press. You'll see a little bit lower block for Northwestern. You'll see there 2 up top. Kind of just sit lower, let the backs play with it a little bit. They'll let them possess out of the back. And then as soon as they cross into that confrontation line about 70 or so yards out, they'll try to do the same. They'll converge on the ball and try to make it tough for Penn State to play through the middle of the field.
Thrawn did a nice job to settle in the midfield. Chernesky up the line, back to Penn State. There's the senior, typically the holding midfielder from Wakanda, Illinois, about 45 minutes from here in Evanston. Kaylee Reel, the redshirt junior from Fairfax Station, Virginia. She's a rock with Ogle right in front of her in the back for Penn State. Given away by the Wildcats. Nice recovery, though. Davison swooped in.
Big tackle by Davison right there. That's typically where Penn State will punish you for any sort of mistake in that back third. And a big recovery, like you said, by Hannah Davison.
Well, Michael Moynihan can rest easy knowing he has his 2 typical center backs back there, and Hannah Davison and Kayla Sharples, a couple of seniors, a couple of all-conference players on the back line.
They just have such a great chemistry together, and they're both just tough as nails. They're super competitive. They've done so well and had so much success in the back line together for Northwestern. It's been a huge part of the turnaround that you've seen this program have in the last couple of years. And here's these turnovers, this high press system. You take one bad touch, you've got 3 Penn State players around you, and right away they'll get their head up, they'll look to get numbers into the attack and get at you. And it was a great, great tackle by Hannah Davison to stop that attack quickly.
Yes, she was the security blanket there for Northwestern. Just over 10 minutes into this first half in Evanston. A couple of top 25 teams matching up 10 months after they met in Indiana in the Big Ten tournament final. That was a Penn State win after all sorts of delays due to the weather. A match that ended up being played indoors. Shots cleared away by Sharples. Penn State this year began the year the preseason number 4 team in the country, as always in the Big Ten, picked at the top of that preseason poll. And a challenging non-conference part of the schedule, but Erica Dombach feels like they've unlocked some things with that win they had against Ohio State.
They do, and you see that typically every year with Penn State. They like to make themselves uncomfortable in non-conference play, which I'm a big fan of. I think it's really important to be able to see your weaknesses instead of just playing teams that you know you're going to dominate.
Kristen Schnurr was searching for Talia Ferry on the 6.
But they got stretched thin. They were able to figure out some things about themselves, what they needed to work on, what they needed to really dial in on going into Big Ten conference play, and they always seem to figure it out. It always bodes well for them in terms of their conference play performance.
Well, we'll keep our eye on Carrie Abello. She can do a flip throw for Penn State. Sophomore. She's got a homecoming game tonight. She's from Batavia, Illinois, about an hour southwest of here in Evanston. She's got a background in gymnastics. And so the front handspring translates nicely to a flip throw.
Yes, away!
This one, a high arcing one to the top of the 18.
That one got a little bit too much air on it, but you see how many Penn State players get forward. They treat it exactly like they would a corner kick.
Now loose ball is knocked down. Davison got a piece of the shot. Emily Ogle and the Nittany Lions have controlled possession so far in this one. Good step in front by Chernesky. Talia Ferry trying to knife through traffic, and it rolls to Wood. Northwestern, meanwhile, was picked 4th in the Big Ten in the preseason poll, and we told you they started the year with an 8-game unbeaten streak. 6 shutouts mixed in there. They played a couple of ranked teams as well, as this call goes in favor of the Wildcats. So they've been tested, but they had the draw with Wisconsin in Madison on Friday. They lost 2-0 to Minnesota on the road on Sunday in their first weekend. There's Marissa Vigiano. Very good on set pieces. Drives this one into the box. Sharples is good in the box, but Dennis pounces on it.
That's one thing Northwestern is going to have to be good on. Vigiano can serve this ball on a dime so consistently throughout the game. Might have been a little bit of a handball by Davis in there, but Northwestern is so dangerous in the box off of set pieces. And you'll see them really try to take advantage, get numbers forward into the box whenever they can.
Talia Ferry with some space. On the right foot, it's blocked. And Penn State offside. So the Nittany Lions came back quickly the other way, and things opened up for Talia Ferry.
Right away, they'll turn, they'll go at them. You saw that Kayla Sharples' great tackle on Tagliaferri. And that was close in terms of when the ball was played.
That was Charlotte Williams, the senior from Rochester, New York, the attacking center midfielder. And Mackenzie Wood with some housekeeping. Clock stops just over 15 minutes into this first half for Michael Moynihan's team. They've been trying to find some offense this season. So much of the production last year came on those set pieces like we mentioned. This year, that really hasn't been the story. He feels like they've made more strides in the final third, but still work to be done. A team that just has 10 goals in 9 games.
They do, and I think they've struggled to find a real rhythm just with some of the injuries that they've had to deal with this season so far. But I think in the last couple of games when we talked to them, he said they're starting to click a little bit more on their set piece opportunities, but they just haven't had a real consistent starting lineup because of injuries. And I think we haven't seen a ton of gelling on the field because of that.
So Wood is ready to go, has everything aligned. Nice job by Shea Moyer to turn that to the outside. Talia Ferry checked 2. She wanted someone beside her.
A little bit of a missed touch at the end, but another great step by Hannah Davison to break up that play in.
Penn State's the team all the time that talks about a blue-collar mentality. That's one of their pillars, but really on the Northwestern side, that's the type of play you get all the time from Davison and Sharples.
It really is. They, like we talked about, they just are so tough on the ball.
No call as Ogle plays on. Carriabello Told you it's fun for her to come home. Celebrated her 19th birthday as well earlier this week.
Right away.
Battling.
As soon as they lose the ball, they just converge, get numbers around it, and make it so hard to get out of their end. And going back to a bellow, Dombach talked about how excited she was about the future of a bellow. And you see that relentless pressure right here. As soon as they give up the ball, 2 players around her, they make it hard to get out. And it's not just those 2 players. They press in layers. So if those 2 players were to get beat, they've got another line that they have to beat. And that's the reason why Northwestern, they might have to look at that long ball just to release the pressure a little bit. But they do have to stay calm, find players like Marissa Vigiano right here to just slow the game down, find their tempo, and get numbers forward instead of constantly being on their heels playing defense.
When you talk about the high press, it's a phrase you hear all the time as it relates to Penn State. What makes it so effective, and maybe why don't we see more teams do it? What's hard about doing it?
You know, it's hard to keep up for 90 minutes. It's hard to do as a group. It takes a ton of communication, a ton of organization, and you just have to have the right players. You've got to be athletic enough to do it, and you have to have players that really commit all to it, because if one player doesn't do it, it just totally breaks down the high press system. And when you throw that many numbers forward, if you don't have everybody that's buying in, it can get broken down pretty quickly, and then your numbers down in terms of your defense.
Nice build up here for Penn State. A good searching ball through for Abello, bearing down, and a whistle. Another great run on the left side from Carrie Abello before the collision.
I don't know if she got called offside. Find this little up and back pass. Finds a great through ball into Abello's run. Takes a good touch. Mackenzie Wood does a great job to come out and block and take away that near post. She looked on when that ball got played, but hard angle to tell right there.
Well, she went shoulder to shoulder earlier up against Jules Thron. And she got whistled for it that first time. Penn State's been pushing things offensively. Another offside call here in this first half. Dennis pops that one out. Here's Jules Thron. She's made a nice transition to the college game. Some experience with the USA Youth National teams with camps there. One of the higher pedigree recruits coming in to this Wildcats program.
And she got thrown into the mix right away. She really had to adjust quickly. And I think Coach Moynihan was excited about her potential. She's extremely coachable. She's eager. I think she'll have a big career at Northwestern.
Stepped into the left back spot that had been populated by Cassidy Gorman most recently. Some space to work for the Wildcats. Low driven service to the top of the box headed out. That was Schnurr checking back for Penn State. Vigiano to the sideline. Chloe McGee, a freshman, is checked in, but she gives it away. McGee came on for Brenna Livera, who leads this Northwestern team with 4 of the 10 Wildcat goals. Good ball into space. Abello runs onto it nicely. Here's Maddie Nault, the team captain, 5th-year senior, into the box. Loose on the 6 and cleared out. Penn some good buildup for Penn State as this first half wears on.
You see a great ball out wide here. Maddie Nolf gets herself high up into the attack. That's one thing that makes Penn State's offense really hard to play against, is that they throw numbers forward and they really like to get their outside backs involved in the game. We haven't seen her drive up that sideline very often, but when she does, she gets great crosses into the ball. And just to fill everybody in, that previously Maddie Elliston got married over in the offseason.
Not a bad way to head into your fifth-year senior season.
No, it's an exciting way.
Yeah, married a Penn State wrestler, Jason Nolf, in June. Maddie's from Omaha. They had the wedding there. Jason Nolf, by the way, two-time NCAA champion, three-time NCAA finalist as well. Physical play along the sideline. Nice job sliding in by Chernesky. We talked about that. Typically the holding midfielder, but you see dropping back into more of that traditional four-back look.
And it looks like they've shifted into that four-back more officially, because she hasn't really creeped in. She'll creep up a little bit on dead balls and on goal kicks, but she's pretty much solidified herself in that left back position, and Steigletter and Lawson are really kind of filling in that gap, holding in that central space.
Williams leaves it for Ogle. Ogle had the best chance of the day. She was trying to sync up there with Schnur, and Davison got to it. If you joined us late, you might have missed the opportunity that came from Emily Ogle outside the box. She ripped it toward that left post. Wood got a piece of it, deflected it off the crossbar and over.
Other than that, though, Northwestern's done a pretty good job defensively. Penn State really hasn't gotten end line. They haven't gotten any slotted balls back that have been dangerous. They've done a good job to keep them in front and win balls like this that are sent in right into the forwards.
Physical play again, this time a whistle on Hannah Davison, the senior.
This ball comes in. It's shoulder to shoulder. She might have clipped her on that left ankle, but it's a great step by Hannah Davison. You really can't do anything other than that.
Davison makes her 66th consecutive start in the back. Essentially been a four-year starter since she got to Evanston. Alina Ortega-Jurado, the senior from Germany, side by side with Ogle, who takes the set piece. Good service toward the six. Just a little bit high. Nolf retrieves it. There's Marisha Shiva, 27 in the blue. She's been in and out of the lineup dealing with some injury issues. Vigiano into space on the left side. What would you like to see from Northwestern when they do grab possession? They're going to be busy defensively, but to try to create some offensive opportunities.
You saw a longer ball come from their keeper a second ago, and that's going to be helpful for them sometimes, just to break that pressure. But they don't really have anybody sitting on the back line of Penn State right now, so anything that's going up, Penn State's back line is coming up with, and Northwestern hasn't been able to get on a ton of second balls. So I think if they can find somebody that will hold the ball up, be a target for them up top, they'll be able to get their offense involved in the game more.
Marissa Shiva got the ball from Nolf, and it sets up the second Penn State corner kick. Emily Ogle has started every game in her career. This is her 84th start tonight. No active NCAA player has played in more. Top of the box to Williams, but nicely defended by Northwestern. There's another look at the corner kick from Penn State.
This ball finds a perfect little angle. Tiny window, but Ogle's able to slip it through, and they don't get a shot off the end of it, but a great ball by Emily Ogle.
Northwestern wins possession with Nia Harris, sophomore from California, 19 in the way. It's another player that's rounding back into full health for Northwestern. They're excited to have her at full strength. Still found its way towards Schnur. But again, Sharples and Davison so steady in the back. Ogle eyes upfield. Plays long, trying to go over the top. Davison, a nice job to settle that out to Haley Lawson. There's the high press from Penn State.
No shot, pressure!
Ogle lets fly, save made by Wood.
What a big-time save by Mackenzie Wood there. As soon as that came off Ogle's foot, I thought it was going to be on that left side back of the net, but Mackenzie Wood gets herself laid out, gets a great touch on it to put it out for a corner. Good shot by Emily Ogle, but big-time save by Mackenzie Wood.
Not every game that she's been tested back there where she's had to make big saves, but when needed, she's done it. She had 10 saves earlier this year against West Virginia.
She's known for being a great shot stopper.
Sharples clears. The best chances have come from Emily Ogle. Talked about Penn State coming off all the momentum they seized on Friday. They were at home against Ohio State. The 4-0 win. They got 3 goals in an 8-minute span just heading into halftime. And it felt like the floodgates opened up for Erica Dombach.
Sure, it just felt like a weight was lifted off of Penn State's shoulder. As we said, they had a tough non-conference schedule. And they were just a little bit frustrated maybe going into that game, and I think all those frustrations were just let go of after that game. It was a great 90 minutes put together by Penn State in that conference opener.
Yeah, because they had beat West Virginia, but a loss to UCLA at home, a tough one, 2-1. Lost to Wake Forest, lost to Virginia 2-1. That was something that Erica Dombach said was just a disappointing effort. They had opportunities, but maybe not the fire that she wanted to see in the fight from her squad.
And that's why you get tested. You have to figure out how to get your team past situations like that.
Let's have one more look at what Mackenzie Wood was staring down.
So good by Mackenzie Wood. You saw her take a little bit of a step to her left. She was shifting towards her left, and to be able to get her body positioning back towards the right across the goal is so impressive.
Well, you talked about her going long with the goal kick earlier. She's really proficient in the kicking game. That's something Michael Moynihan has talked about. And for as good as Lauren Clem was, that's something that Wood even adds to the mix this year as the freshman starter. Good ball for Steigletter to run onto in the corner, with Ogle bearing down on her.
Even a big ball like that, though, you saw Emily Ogle have to track her all the way back. Just some longer balls over the top to release that pressure, like we've talked about, will just draw out Penn State's midfield, their defense. I think it'll open some different holes to find Vigiano, get her involved in the attack more. We haven't really seen her a ton in the attacking third on the ball.
Flicked into the box. Northwestern trying to generate something. Good ball toward the back post.
It's a good read by Amanda Dennis. We really haven't had to say her or mention her name at all tonight, and she's a big-time goalkeeper for Penn State as well. You see this ball come in, she has the awareness to know that she's not within the goal. She knows it's going out for a goal kick and doesn't touch that ball, lets it fly.
Madison Donley, freshman from Grand Rapids, Michigan, was the closest one in the vicinity back there. She's 13 in white, just into the game for Nia Harris. Penn State has outshot Northwestern so far, 4-0.
Ortega Harada is another one that we really haven't mentioned. She's new to that center back position for Penn State, but she brings a different dynamic to the group where you have Kaylee Reel, who's just strong, steady, consistent in that back line. Ortega Harada just brings that more dynamic element. She likes to be on the ball. She's a little bit more deceptive, tricky, creative with the ball at her feet. And she just brings more of an attacking presence through the center back for Penn State this year.
And she's got starting experience all over the place. There she is, Ortega Harada. Had a couple goals last year in the NCAA tournament run for Penn State. Back to the quarterfinals last season before the loss to Stanford.
She played a little bit higher up in the midfield for Penn State last year. It's been a nice transition for her. She's done well in that center back position. But like I said, she just brings a different dynamic, different exciting dynamic, I guess you could say, to a center back position that you don't typically see.
Yeah, you could hear the excitement in Erica Dombach's voice when she talked about it. Kept going back to that word clever and what she brings back there. And with that, she can help create some buildup for Penn State out of the back.
Exactly, and because Penn State typically gets their opponents pretty locked in and in that low block defensively, she has that space to be able to go and attack different gaps out of the center back position.
You said it, she plays alongside Kaylee Reel back there, the redshirt junior who 2 times has been an all-conference center back selection. She's the brains of the back line, the anchor back there.
She's very consistent, very steady, great organizer.
She plays at that time to her counterpart center back.
Here's a little bit more of the rhythm that you typically see out of Penn State. There's that clever trickiness from Ortega Harada right there with that little lofted in ball to Emily Ogle's feet.
Williams got it from Shiva with the left foot, sails it wide.
And that's really the first time that we've seen Penn State with that slower buildup out of the back. They found a ton of passes through the midfield, finally kind of broke some lines of Northwestern. What a cheeky little move right here, just to let it come across her body. She finds it at her left foot, doesn't get quite enough on it, gets too much air underneath it, but great little positioning by Williams to let that come across. Fires it in with her left, but just over the crossbar.
Give Williams free reign out of that attacking midfielder spot. She had a goal in the 4-0 win Friday against Ohio State. Dennis came all the way out there for the Nittany Lions.
And again, because of that high press system, their back four are so far up the field that Dennis can step up higher outside of that box and really play more as a defender sometimes.
Well, here's a look at Charlotte Williams' goal in that 4-0 win. She had the second one, part of that surge late in the first half. And how about the service as well from Kim Dubbs, a freshman from Switzerland who has provided a boost off the bench.
She was a huge spark off the bench for Ohio State in that game, for Penn State in the Ohio State game, excuse me, and sent in just a perfect ball. It was out swinging, came away from the keeper right into Charlotte Williams' run. It was a great ball into the box.
Yeah, Laura Freigang left in the summer. She signed to go play back in Germany. And Kim Dubbs soon thereafter was officially announced as a signing for Penn State.
That's a big loss for Penn State. Laura Freigang was a huge piece to their success last year. I think they've had to sort some different things, change some things around to figure out how to fill that gap. But they're finally starting to find their stride and really see players like Emily Ogle, Charlotte Williams, Dubbs sometimes filling in and just kind of closing the gap in terms of her loss.
Well, one thing that Erica Dombach has talked about as well, Shea Moyer's been a big part of the recent uptick as well. They can see the confidence building with that sophomore in the midfield, 18 in the navy blue.
We haven't said her name a ton. I think Emily Ogle's seen a lot more of the ball today, but she does a ton of work off the ball. You might not see her scoring goals, providing assists, but she does a really good job in terms of their high press, organizing that space, and just finding herself in good spots in the field to be able to break lines and get the offense started.
Well, Sunday we've got more women's soccer heading your way when the Hoosiers and the Hawkeyes battle it out. We'll be on the call for that one. You don't want to miss coverage starting at 3 Eastern on Sunday right here on BTN. How about the start to the season in conference play for the Hoosiers thus far?
Such an impressive turnaround from last season. Even going into this year, they were slotted at 11th in preseason polls, I believe, and I think from the outside looking in, they had some lower expectations on themselves in terms of how they would do, and they really came out strong. They put together some big-time performances, too, as they come from behind win, double overtime against Michigan, and then really grinded it out on Sunday against Michigan State.
Kaylee Reel uses her keeper. Yeah, that's a Michigan team that earlier tonight on BTN took down number 17 Wisconsin 2-0.
I think there is just so much competition in the Big Ten from year to year, but especially this year. I think just from top to bottom, there's really just no easy games.
Given away by Penn State. Here's Steigletter trying to attack 1v1. Nice job recovering defensively by Penn State. And then Steigletter tracks back all the way to win possession from Williams. Jean's got a good burst from that left back spot. Iggiano got a piece of it. Coming up on these final 6 minutes of the first half in Evanston.
That Nakia Smith loss was big because it's not just a loss to the back line, but Chernesky has to come out of that holding mid spot. Steigletter has to come deeper. They really lost a lot of their offensive power with that loss just by having to supplement and bring players back defensively.
Get a look at Nakia Smith, the fifth-year senior, who started the last time that Northwestern defeated Penn State back in 2014. Now in her 5th season. Aspen Rep, senior from Lake Bluff, Illinois, just north of here in Evanston, checks into the game.
And she might be one that can sit a little bit deeper in that midfield spot to be able to push some players forward. It looks like she might be pushing up a little bit higher in front of Steigletter.
Northwestern runs onto it, played nicely into space, but there's that closing speed to recover by Ellie Jean.
I think Coach Dombach called her a gazelle on the left side. She's just so athletic in how she covers ground. You see Vigiano right here with a great through ball, but Ellie Jean recovers with that fast athletic pace on that left side to drive it out for a goal kick.
Yeah, took it away from Kylie Fisher to keep this Northwestern offense quiet still with less than 5 minutes to go until halftime. Northwestern has not had a match this season when they've had a half without getting a shot. So that's the case so far tonight.
They really just kind of struggled to find any sort of rhythm offensively. And hats off to Penn State because that's their game plan. That's what they like to do to teams. But Northwestern hasn't been able to settle down and find any sort of rhythm or possession on the ball.
Penn State will start it out of the back. Five shots for Penn State. The two best opportunities have both come from Ogle. Here's Vigiano. Shiva tracks back. Vigiano keeps it. All-conference first-team selection last year out of the midfield. Very good distributing.
Even just a little bit more patience on the ball right there allows Chernesky to get up that sideline on the left. They're just very narrow in their attack. And once they get into that final third, they just lose and lack some ideas.
Nice job by Kim Dubbs, the freshman we told you about. She saved that one as Williams played into space. Headed out by Chernesky.
Pressure on! Good Madison!
Well, you said it earlier. Penn State has certainly dominated possession, but despite that, Northwestern hasn't given up many grade A chances.
They really haven't. They've done a good job absorbing that pressure, absorbing that attack. Just think when you have a team who has this much of the ball, you almost feel like a goal has to be coming at some point soon. But again, Northwestern's done a good job. They've got numbers in the midfield. You see that block of 4 in their midfield space. They really clog up through the middle of the park and have made it hard on Penn State.
The outside backs love to get involved. Jean serves it into the box. Ogle settles. Now Williams soars it. Penn State, the reigning Big Ten tournament champions, took down this Northwestern squad last year. We're approaching a scoreless first half. Nobody home for Davison. Nice job closing speed in the midfield from Vigiano. Lays it off to Donley. And Dennis scoops it up.
They finally got that wide run. They get end line and they just lack those runs in the box. They lack a little bit of organization to get a near post run in.
Been a good first half from Hannah Davison. We will spotlight her at halftime as well, the senior from Geneva, Illinois. And it is out for a corner kick. That's a freshman in the back, Caitlin Hayslip from Munster, Indiana, trying to corral it.
Vigiano on the ball. She gets her left foot there. Hayslip just takes a little bit of a mistouch. Now for a corner kick to end this first half. And this is where Northwestern can be so dangerous.
Into the box. Still loose on the 6, and Northwestern scores. Kayla Sharples.
that's where Northwestern can just change a game. They've played a ton of defense so far this first half. Vigiano sends a great ball in. Sharples gets on that first initial ball, stays with it, and is able to toe poke that ball through. See it here again, a lofted ball. Kayla Sharples, who's just so good in the box, getting up in the air and winning those first balls, and is able to stay on her feet, get on that second ball, poke it through. What a great end to the half for Northwestern.
Her second goal of the season, the 8th of her career. And what did Erica Dombach say to us? Northwestern will torture us on those set pieces, a corner kick here. And the Wildcats under duress possession-wise for a lot of the first 45 minutes. They break through with 9 seconds left until the intermission.
That's what they're good at. They absorb that pressure. They're stingy defensively, and then they'll catch you on those counter or set piece opportunities, and we saw just that.
All right, we're joined now by Northwestern head coach Michael Moynihan. And, Coach, if we had talked to you about 2 minutes ago, it'd be a different story. How do you feel after that?
Well, you know, they did put us under some pressure. I don't think they created too many good chances. There's the one that Mackenzie tipped over the bar early on. I feel like we've pretty well kept them at bay, even though they've had a lot of the ball. And yeah, we want to capitalize on set pieces. It was our bread and butter last year. Didn't really score too much on set pieces so far this season, but it was a good time to, you know, regain our form in that area.
Do you change anything going into that second half? Like you said, you did a really good job in terms of keeping them at bay and not giving them too many opportunities. What do you do to create more offense?
Yeah, we got to have a little bit more composure when we do win the ball. Sometimes we get a little bit frantic. You know, it's a combination. We want to threaten to get behind them, but we also want to have people popping off that back line to get the ball in the attack and hold it up there for us. They rested a few people, you know, for the latter part of the first half there, and they're going to have some fresh legs coming in, so I expect us to be under a decent amount of pressure in the second half.
Thank you very much for the time, Michael.
Yeah.
So Northwestern with a 1-0 lead on Penn State, a top 25 matchup, a Big Ten tournament final rematch in Evanston.
Let's go,